So we're going to get started with some Animate, and we've done this together, but I'm going to make videos of everything. So if you ever need to go back and look at something again, or if you happen to miss class and you don't get to see the demonstration, I want you to be able to see how to do the various things we're going to be doing in Animate and, of course, Premiere Pro as well when we get to that. So our very first lesson was, let's see, I'm going to start you out here with, basically this was our first challenge. And so the challenge was to create a really creative line that would be an animation. So this is called Begin at the End, and it's a creative line that we're going to be designing. So the first thing we need to do after, of course, we open up Animate is to create new. And I'm going to try to go through some of these things quickly because we'll spend time talking about what all of these different file formats are about. But for now, we just want to get into the project. So we'll spend time at another time talking about why we have so many options here and which options we should be choosing for different animations. So for this one, we're going to choose character animation. And when we do that, you're going to notice that you have these options here, and basically these are size options. You have high definition, full high definition, 4K standard. We're going to go with the HD, which is the very first one. At least it is on my screen. Might appear different for you, so double check and make sure. To know you're correct, 1280 by 720 is what you're going to see in terms of measurements. The frame rate for this is set at 30. That's pretty fast, but we're going to go with that, 30 frames per second. You can kind of imagine how fast that is. Standard frame rate is 24, so this clearly is going to be a little faster than what we normally might use if we were creating an animation. So I'm going to hit create. When I hit create, the very, very, very first thing I need to do is I need to save this, because I will be saving often, just like you've been told probably with every computer class you've ever taken. Save, save, save. You can never save too many times. So if I start out by naming this, and I'm going to name this Mrs. C Creative Line Challenge. If I save it, I can just keep it hitting save as I'm working, and it just kind of makes me feel better. So I don't want it to go to my downloads. I want to be very particular about where I save things. So I have an Animate folder here. Now I will say that my Animate folder is a little messy at the moment, but here I already have a folder that's called Animate Challenge 1. If you don't have a folder that says that, you can certainly go to New Folder and you can create that folder, which will go inside your Animate folder. Since I already have one, I'll just select that and I'll hit save. So now I'm ready to get started. Step one, I love to name my layers. Okay, so I'm going to double click on layer and I'm going to call this creative line, or you can call it crazy line, or you can call it whatever you want. Now it says here special characters are not permitted. Well, the special character is actually just a space. So I'm going to put don't show again, and I'm going to click OK, and you'll notice that since it didn't like my space, it put a line in between creative and line. Doesn't like spaces. So that's okay with me, as long as I get to name it what I want to name it. So I'm ready to get started. We are doing 30 frames here, so if you want to look at your timeline better. Oh, and I might just add, we have talked about this, but I will add, I'm using the classic workspace. Okay, so if you go to Window and you go to the bottom, you will see there's classic. If I were to choose one of the others, like basic, or if I were to choose another popular one, might be essentials. you would notice that the timeline is not there. But I prefer using the classic because I like having the timeline at the top of my screen. So, so now that I'm ready to go, I'm going to select frame 30. So frame 30 is right there. If you can't see your timeline well, then just sort of drag on your slider up here and you'll be able to see those frames a little bigger. You notice everything is sort of spreading out a bit. So now I'm on 30, and what I need to do is I need to insert a timeline keyframe. So the easiest way, there's many ways to do this, but the easiest way is to click here and click keyframe, okay? If I hit Command Z, of course Command Z is undo. Another way that I can do that is to click on number 30, go to Insert, go to Timeline, and go to Keyframe again. And so I've just done the exact same thing, but I've used a different method of doing it. Command Z. Still not done. You also can right-click, and when you right-click, you'll notice again you have the option to insert a keyframe. So 3 different ways for me to add a keyframe to that last frame. So you choose the manner that you want to choose. Doesn't really make any difference, but that's what we're going to do. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a really fun creative line, and what's really going to be cool about this is our line is going to change as we kind of back away from it. You'll see what I mean. So let's pull out our paintbrush, and my classic brush tool is right up here. It looks like just a regular old brush, so I will click on it. And when I click on it, you might happen to notice that over in the Properties panel, Tool comes up because the brush is a tool and we're about to use it. So I don't think I want to use yellow. Yellow is probably the last color I used, so I'm going to click where it says Fill, and I'm going to pick a color that I do like. I like this color, so I think I'll go with that. Now the size of my brush right now, let's see, it's not giving me a number, but let's just try it out, test it out. Oh, that's pretty thick. I'm not looking for a brush that thick. So I'm going to hit Command Z, and I'm going to reduce the size of it a little bit. Now maybe I don't want to use just a regular brush. Maybe I want some kind of a fancy brush. And you can see if I use this brush, I'm going to get a line that looks something like that. The idea is that you can be as creative with these as you want. You can even switch your brushes as you go. So I'm going to let you make the decision as to how you create your brush. I think I might try this one. So I'm going to hit Command Z, and now I'm ready to start. And this line is just going to go around, and I'm going to stop at places. Every time I stop, I have the ability to add new colors. And actually, I can add new colors in other ways, which I'll show you in a second. So again, I like my line to be kind of crazy, and who knows, maybe this line is going to sort of flow that way, and maybe this line will flow that way. I'm going to be as creative as I can be with this. All right, I don't want to stop with just lines. This is the finished piece, so think of this as a finished work of art. So whatever you're doing here, this is how this will end. So with that being the case, I'm going to switch around some colors. I think I'll make a maybe put a little circle right there. Maybe I'll have another one that will just kind of sit here. What are some other fun things I can do? If I break up my lines in places, then I don't have to have the same color. So maybe instead of this being this blue-green, maybe this will be just a blue. And maybe this line, which you can see the length of that line, maybe that will be the same pink that I used before. And that looks like the pink I used before. Maybe I'll take my eraser and I'll just kind of break right there. And that gives me the ability to take this piece of my line and maybe put a different color in there. I won't go too crazy with the colors because although I do like color, I don't want it to appear busy. So maybe we'll go with purple. And once I determine what my colors are, I'll stick with those colors because repetition is a good thing to have in any kind of artwork. And you notice I keep erasing because the more I erase, the more opportunity I have to change my colors. So I'm going to leave the green here. I'll probably change this one to that lighter blue that I have, and if I want to just use the eyedropper to capture that blue, that would probably be the easiest way to grab that blue. And I think this piece right here, I don't want to use the pink again, so I think I'm going to have to add one more color to this. Something that I think is going to look nice. Yeah, that'll look good. So now I have a little bit of yellow in there. So with that little bit of yellow, since again this is my finished piece, this is where I want to have as much interest as I can possibly get. And so what else might I do? I might just take my paintbrush and add a few more lines in some places. I'll try a different kind of a brush this time. I'll just try a round brush. And here, maybe I'll just put some little flowy lines that just sort of help to kind of create a more interesting design. Okay, so that will be my completed design. So now what I want to do is go backwards. So a couple things we're going to do. If you click on this gray area, of course there's nothing here, you can see because it's the dark gray. I only have a white screen, and I want to put keyframes on all 29 frames. So I have my 30th frame, which has my artwork, but I want to put something in all 29 frames. So I will do a couple of things. If I right click here, okay, I should see something that says convert to frame by frame animation, keyframe each frame. And if I do that, you'll notice if you look really close that, and let me zoom in a little bit. Whoops, I'll zoom in on my timeline so you can see that. You can see that each one of the frames now has a little circle in it. But of course they're dark gray because there's no art in them yet. Here's where all my art is. There's nothing in these. And I'll just reduce this size a little bit. If your stage is too big, you can reduce it so that you can see the whole thing better. So now I have a keyframe in each of those. Now I'm going to hit Command Z because there is another way to add keyframes to these. That other way is to, again, click somewhere in this area, go to Modify, go to Timeline, and hit Convert to Frame by Frame Animation, and again, keyframe each frame. And there, same thing happened. Now I have keyframes in every single one. Okay, now if you have a hard time right-clicking, I will explain in class what to do to fix that, because that is not a problem with Animate. That is a problem with the preferences on your iMac. So we can fix that in about 2 seconds. But for now, try to do it one of those two ways, and eventually you will be able to right-click and you'll have everything that you need. All right, so what do we do now? Okay, so we go back to our artwork. Here's my artwork. Take one last look at it. Is there anything else you want to do to it? Is it going to finish up the way you like? I have a little bit of a break here that kind of bothers me somewhat. So I think I'll put another circle in there, and I'll make this circle blue. Whoops, I do have this purple here, which I have not used much of. So I'm going to make the circle purple, and I'm going to put a purple circle right there. And since I haven't used too much of that purple, maybe I will just run a cute little purple line there, and maybe a cute little purple line there. Okay, I like to balance out my colors, so now the colors feel more balanced. I don't have any circles down here, and again, since I'm kind of into balancing things, I might create a circle, and I've used all colors except, let's see, I haven't used this color for any of my circles, so I'll make this circle that. Okay, now I have balance between my lines, my circles, my breaks, all of that. All right, so this is my last frame. So again, I'm going to right click, I'm going to hit copy frame, I'm going to go to the frame that is right next to it, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to hit, whoops, try that again, I'm going to hit paste frame. Okay, so there my entire artwork has just shown up. Now if you can't right click, once again you can go to you can go to modify timeline, oh sorry, I'm taking you to the wrong place. You can go to edit, copy, and then edit, paste. And I would paste in place, that way it doesn't move around on you. So if I take my playhead and I go between these two pieces, they're in the exact same spot, which is what they need to be. They need to be in the exact same spot. All right, but this one has to be different. So what am I going to do? I'm going to take my eraser, and I'm going to first decide, where does this end? I'm going to assume that this is the end. I'm going to change my eraser. My eraser is still set at this angled piece. I want my eraser to be big enough now that when I go to erase things, whoops, it switched back on me again. Try this one more time. Hopefully it doesn't switch on me again. There we go. So I should be able to remove some of this line. Maybe I'll just leave a little piece there. So when you scrub through, you can see I just lost a piece of my line. All right, so now what do? I right click, I copy, I click on the next frame, I right click, and I paste. All right, and now I've only pasted what was on the frame prior to that. So I will now again do some erasing, and here's what I sometimes do. I sometimes start changing colors just so that it kind of modifies my design a bit. So if you feel the urge to do that, you can start flipping colors around. Because I want this to go a little bit quickly, I think I'll just leave the colors as they are. But if you really want to see some changes happening in your animation, don't be afraid to go to your selection tool, pick something, change its complete color. Maybe here this would become, you know, my purple. You know, maybe I just switch things up a little bit, and maybe this one becomes the pink, and I'll just use the eyedropper to get that pink. All right, so I've changed it up a little bit. You can see how, like, now the colors are changing a little bit. So now we're ready to copy again. So again, right click, copy frame, go to the frame to the left, right click, and paste. Okay, time to do a little more erasing. So here I'll maybe erase to about here. I will also eliminate my yellow there. Maybe I'll just take away the yellow or the purple altogether. And so here it looks like we have something like this. So you can see how the transformation is happening as we go. And sometimes I like to just kind of be creative too by pulling out more eraser marks, turning things into dashed lines rather than solid lines. So here I'm picking colors is what I'm doing, and maybe this one will become decisions. I already have purple, but yeah, we'll do the blue. Okay, so so I have this one. You can see changes are happening, and now I'm going to copy frames, go here, right click, paste frames. Once again, pull out that eraser, time to get rid of some things. No longer need all this. But because I am kind of moving to new areas, I'm going to start changing some colors again. And so this one I think will turn into pink. Oops, try that again. Need to grab my eyedropper, turn that one pink. What else do I want to change? Maybe I'll turn this one to purple, and that'll do for now. Okay, so now again, copy. So as you can see, we're gonna do this for a while. And by the time you're finished, you're going to have a design that is going to kind of flash and animate. And I'm going to try to be real careful around my circle here because I kind of want to keep the circle. What do I want to change here? Maybe I'll change the color of this one to blue, since I don't have any blue over there right now. Just flipping colors around. Right click, copy, right click, paste, pull out my eraser, and here we can get rid of the circle, and I'll get rid of this, and then I think here I'll just create some dashed lines, maybe here too, and I can keep them this color. Let's just see. Colors don't have to change all the time. Okay. Maybe since I'm doing a little erasing there, I'll do a little erasing here too. I kind of like the way the dashed lines look. Okay. So I'm going to stop this video here, okay? And what I'll do is I will start this video again with the second half to it. And the second half will be after I carry this all the way to 0. And by the time I get to 0, guess what? There's not going to be anything left. By the time I get here, the only thing that might be left in this will say I'll just grab this little piece right here, and we'll say this is the only thing that might be left by the time, and I don't know if I put that in the right place. No, here's how I can determine. I can turn on my onion screen, my onion skin, sorry. And when I come here, oops, it's not going to show me because they're not next to each other. But in any case, yeah, this would have to come up more. But I would know that if I was copying as I went. So I'm going to stop this video right here. Your job is to take this design until there's nothing left. And then I'll show you how to put a background to this. And actually, I can do that right now. Just call this background. Make sure your background is under your creative line. And this will be a simple matter of making sure you start on your first keyframe. You always have to start here, and then that way whatever you put there will carry across the entire frame. And you may notice that when I put in that background, it automatically knew to end at the 30 frame mark. So kind of makes life a little bit easy when the program already knows where it's supposed to go. And so if I were to say put a rectangle here, and I made this rectangle black, oops, I'm going to have to select it to change the color. Usually whatever color is already on is the color that will stay. So now nothing is here, of course, but when you start to get here, you can see where the lines start to change. So when this is all done, you'd be left with something like that. Okay, so I'm going to end this. Whoops, sorry about that. Animation here. I'll hit File and Save. When you're actually ready to save this, of course, you'll go here, you'll hit Publish, and I would choose the animated GIF for this because GIFs are easy to put on the website. All right, so good luck with that, and there are written instructions for this as well. So if you can't, if this isn't making sense to you, then take a look at those written instructions. All right, have a great day, and I'm going to turn this off now, which always gives me trouble. Oh, here we go. See you guys later.